Hi, this is Cristina.
And Carmen.
And this is another episode of Espooky Tales, the podcast for all things spooky, creepy, true crime, haunted places, all those things, Latin America related. And yeah, we're here. Oh my God. Carmen keeps whisper singing Mi Burrito Sabanero. And it's that time of year where the song is just stuck in my head.
It's going to be stuck in my head until Christmas. I was going to say January, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I was legit obsessed with the song in like high school.
Was it really high school?
I would like play it so much, and you guys would. First, it was like
I do remember because we used to play on the TV. We used to play all the Christmas songs, and that one you would play. And isn't there one about fish?
Yeah, Los peces en el mar.
That's another one we used to play over and over again.
Yeah. So yeah, those songs are going to be stuck in my head forever. Anyway, yes. As always, we have a paranormal topic, haunted houses, which we haven't done in a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah, it has. Too long. And then I have a serial killer true crime case. But before that, a listener story. And if you want to send us a story, you can email spookytales@gmail.com. You can DM us on our socials. You can call the Spooky hotline. I can't believe the whole time I'm saying this, Carmen's singing Mi Burrito Sabanero. Oh my God. Anyway. Yes. You stop. It's distracting.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, stop.
Okay. I'm just not gonna look at you. And then the other option is submit it on Discord. There's a lot of ways to get it to us, and we love receiving them. So yeah, are you ready to read the listener story and stop singing?
Yes, I am. Okay, this is from Janelle, who has shared a story with us before. Thank you, Janelle, for all of your stories. Hi, ladies. It's me again. Let me just say that I was super excited to hear you guys read my story about my aunt and that shadow thing. I literally jumped out of excitement and in the process scared the crap out of my husband.
Love that.
Yeah. Let me tell you about an incident that happened to me when I was 12 years old, living in that same house but in the basement. Well, this incident happened on a random afternoon when I got out of school, and for some strange reason, I rushed home. For the life of me, I cannot remember why I was rushing, but it just so happened that this particular day, no one was home. So I rushed the 3 blocks to my house, ran up the long front yard, up the stairs to open the front door, and once inside, the basement door would be right in front. I would leave the front door open to shed light because it was always pretty dark. Turn the basement light on, and just as I'm about to head down the stairs, I see what could only be described as a transparent figure that looks like a little girl with curly hair and a lace dress. Whatever it was down there actually lifted its arm and motioned for me to come.
No mames. No, me muero y me cago. That's fucking horrifying. Oh my God.
I immediately slammed the door shut, ran out into the front yard, closing the front door behind me, and I sat in the yard closer to the front gate, terrified to even look at the house. I sat there waiting for anyone to come home, and eventually one of my aunts showed up, and I pretty much stuck to them the entire afternoon until my mother came home. I did tell my family what had happened that day, and in true Mexican spirit, those MFs told me, well, why didn't you go play with her? She was probably lonely.
Oh no, of course they said that. Oh my God.
I was terrified for a while to come home and no one being home after that incident. Eventually, I got over it, but I wouldn't be the only one to see children in the basement. My brother and cousin, once while watching wrestling, heard giggling coming from the bathroom, which was directly across her bedroom. My brother ignored it because he doesn't believe in the paranormal, but my cousin decided to look right in the bathtub. Scared, she told my brother to look to make sure she wasn't going nuts. My brother, on the other hand, got up and closed the bathroom door and literally told my cousin to be quiet because she was being too loud.
Oh my God. Not during the game.
Don't haunt me during my wrestling. During wrestling. He himself had multiple incidents with the paranormal, but to this day, he still doesn't believe in it.
Insane.
Again, I could go on and on about the many different things that happened in that house. The Hat Man was seen The Hat Man was seen multiple times, more shadow children, and the doll that would sing without any batteries, and 2 different incidents where we thought strangers came into our house. Oh my God, Janelle. Send those stories in.
Send them in, girl.
We need to hear them.
We do.
But wow.
That's so creepy. The beckoning.
That got me. I was like,
get out of town. Mm-mm. I would die.
I would run out too.
No, yeah. Oh my God. That's creepy. I don't know that I would ever recover.
Okay, let's move on to some haunted houses.
I'm ready.
Oh, I'll say, did you not?
Wait, no. Before you do that, before we get into our spooky topic, I have to say I was shocked. I posted our regular Instagram post, just an image of like episode 189, last episode.
Yeah.
And someone was like, wow, y'all really hating on Border Patrol. Something we've made clear many times throughout the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, as a children of immigrants, we just cannot.
It's definitely not the first time it's come up.
No, it's not at all. Like at all. Certainly not.
And we
not
are
since you've been on and not since
unapologetic about it.
Yeah, we've like literally said it so many times.
Yeah.
And so this person commented that, and then I was like, that's what I said. As children of immigrants, yeah, we don't and we never will. Like, I don't know why it's a surprise now.
Yeah.
And then what did they write back?
They said, don't worry, in January.
They're just doing their they're just doing their job. And I was like, well, they don't need our support. Like, they have the support of the government. They don't need
this
the
person
support
clearly
of these. Oh yeah, they have. No, I said, that's what I said. I said they have the support of the government and clearly yours. Like, they do not need our support. Trust me. And then they said Trump is gonna make it right in January. And I'm like, are you saying he's gonna deport us? I'm sorry, I was born in this hellhole.
Yeah.
And I served this hellhole country.
Right? Where's the thank you? Where's your thank you?
Where's my thank you for my service, sir?
Ma'am, thank you. I wouldn't be here without you.
I can't even say that. I signed the contract for your freedom of speech.
You allowed him to say that.
We're being sarcastic, in case you can't tell. But you know, it's fine. Like, and the sad thing about these policies and this presidential term that's coming up is that you and I, we're safe. The people that are most vulnerable and at risk, like, that's who's going to be affected the most, right?
Yeah.
So we can sit here in our little rooms and talk our little shit. And
there are other ways to help people.
No, of course.
Yeah. But we will stay talking our shit.
We will.
So we get put on a list and sent to a camp. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say that.
On to the haunted houses now.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so there's a famous haunted house in Nuevo Leon, Mexico, known as La Casa Maldita de Apodaca. Mouthful right there. And that's because the house is in the Nuevo Leon neighborhood of Apodaca. The house was once inhabited by Brisa Ramirez, who was given the home after a divorce trial, and her two children, Eddie and Dario. But Brisa's happy new beginnings never took off. Instead, her wonderful new home turned her life into a living nightmare.
Oh no, not her winning the house and then it being a literal nightmare.
And then actually losing.
And then actually losing at the end.
Brisa told her story to the Netflix documentary Haunted Latin America. I don't remember Brisa. I watched that.
It was a long time ago though.
It was, yeah.
Because I watched
4
it
years
too.
ago.
So it's like gone from my memory. God, 4 years ago?
No, I don't know. I'm guessing. Wow. I don't remember how long ago
2020.
it was. But it was a while
I remember
ago.
it coming out. It was a while ago, yeah. It's like the years keep going, but I'm still stuck in 2020. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the documentary, Brisa said, viví en una casa maldita que intentó destruirme a mí y a toda mi familia. And in English, I lived in a cursed home that tried to destroy me and my entire family. At the start of the haunting, Brisa would hear barefoot feet in the bathroom, but when she would turn around to tell her children to put their shoes on, she would notice that there was no one in the bathroom. Nor. As time progressed, the spirits in the home began to mess with her son's toys. Every night, Brisa cleaned up after her children and picked up their toys, but in the morning, she would wake up to the toys on the couch in a perfect straight line.
And then she blamed the kids. No.
Brisa soon found herself scared and paranoid and thought someone might be breaking into her home.
And lining up the toys.
I was just going to say that. That's more far-fetched than ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah.
In her interview with Netflix, Brisa said that she felt like her head was spinning every day. Alguien entra a la casa, estoy sola con los niños, mi mente empezó a girar y preocuparme y empecé a sentir miedo, she told the show. So she was scared. First she was like, I'm losing my mind, and then she was scared. Now adults Eddie and Dario also told the show that in addition to feeling a dark presence in their home that they tried to ignore, but they also started to fear their mom because she became aggressive with them and the neighbors. And They claim that their mom would then be unable to recall these tense incidents when she was confronted. So they felt like their mom was possessed. The family chose to stay in the home a few more weeks until Brisa began to sleepwalk and wake up in different places around the house with scratches and bruises on her body. And that's when they decided they couldn't handle this anymore and they abandoned the house. But that's not the end of the story.
Oh.
Years later, Brisa remarried and had a son with the famous Monterrey radio host Morocco Palacios. The newlyweds who were disappointed after a real estate deal, they better not.
Did they move back to the house?
They did.
Oh my God.
Did she forget everything that happened? Okay. So the newlyweds who were disappointed after a real estate deal fell through decided to use the house in Apodaca until they could close on a home that they like. But their stay there was short-lived, obviously.
Oh, not surprised.
The couple claimed that one night their newborn's crib was violently shaken and a spirit tried to harm Morocco by pulling his hair.
Oh, he had long hair.
Yeah. So although Brisa and the family claimed that they were attacked by a spirit of a young boy, records show that it was a young girl who died in the home. And records show that on the day the young girl was murdered, she was being watched after by her 5 brothers.
Oh, are they guilty somehow?
Well, a neighbor took advantage of the situation and used candy to lure the girl to him. Once he had her alone, he killed the young girl and her body was found on the patio 3 days later.
Oh my God.
Soon after the murder, the girl's father left his wife and abandoned his family after accusing his wife of not keeping a closer eye on their daughter.
What about...
God, I'm sorry. This is just going to get worse. Okay, just hold your horses.
Okay.
The enraged and grief-stricken father came back days later with a gun and fatally shot his wife. Brisa and her family then moved into that house 10 years later. The house still stands in Nuevo Leon, but it has transformed to a preschool for some reason.
Oh, let's put more kids there.
Right? And to this day, several employees and teachers say that you can hear the girl screaming or see her spirit appear near the windows. Wow. Wow. That was sad.
That's creepy.
Yep.
And sad.
Yeah. You know, after I watched that episode of Haunted Latin America, I thought that the mom was just going through a very stressful time and was just abusing the kids, and they thought she was possessed. That's what I took from it. Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
It does. So next we have La Casa de la Tía Toña. If you ever find yourself in the Bosque de Chapultepec in Mexico City, you might want to avoid crossing any bridges you might find, because it's said that at the end of one of these bridges is the house of La Tía Toña. Is there like an actual address so that I can avoid it?
Can you help me avoid it by giving me the exact address?
We'll see. But if you're one of the many who want to explore the haunted and abandoned house, just know that you must risk your life to get there. As it's said that in order to get into the massive house, you have to go through a steep valley and walk on large and slippery steps made out of rock before you come across a path that leads you to a bridge. But the bridge is the hardest part of the trip. The bridge is in ruins, it's covered in rust, and has no foundation.
How do you cross it?
I don't know. Maybe you have to like hang on it like Shrek?
Oh my God. You're thinking of Shrek. Person. Yeah. I was thinking of Shrek and Donkey when they have to go across and they're like hanging there. Yeah, exactly what I'm picturing. Wow, no, I wouldn't. I simply could not physically do that.
Those who get to the home report hearing an older woman's screams that many believe belong to Tía Toña. Tía Toña once lived in the house 50 years ago. She was known as a kind and generous woman who opened her house to homeless children.
And then they killed her?
Well, let's find out. The older woman would feed and clothe the children and give them a warm place to sleep. But the story says that a number of the children she helped were loud and rebellious and drove the old woman insane. One day she couldn't take it anymore. The woman poisoned the children and then dragged their bodies to the nearby river and disposed of their bodies.
I feel like she just had to say no more visiting me.
She could have kicked them out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
my house is no longer open to you, and that's it. I don't think it was necessary.
It was unnecessary to do all this, yeah. Later that night, the woman was overwhelmed with guilt, and while in her room, she killed herself as a punishment. Others say that Tia Toña was pushed over the edge when she found the children stealing her money and jewelry. Enraged by the betrayal, Tia Toña either beat the kids to death or took an axe and hacked the kids to pieces and before throwing them to the river.
Oh my God.
Toña? Toña? Toña?
Take a step back, Toña.
I feel like there were other steps that could have been taken before you grabbed an axe and started hacking away. Like, I feel like...
Yeah.
Did you think about breathing?
Did you think about leaving the room, taking some deep breaths, screaming into a pillow?
Like, that could be done, you know?
Wow. Toña,
man,
Toña,
oh man.
Toña. I was not expecting this.
Okay. I'm shocked. I can't move on. Okay, there's one version of the legend that says it was actually the children who selfishly banded together to kill the old woman so they could take her money, but their plan never worked out like they wanted to because the old woman's spirit returned to haunt them until they died. Interesting. Okay. Very different versions of events here.
It's because one is told by the kids and one is told by Toña's family.
But what's the truth? We'll never know.
Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. I don't know how you get a middle from that, but
I don't know.
What would the middle be? I don't know.
No matter what version you believe, the adventure seekers who have risked their lives to reach the home report, in addition to the loud screams, an old woman's shadow is also seen waiting by the windows. Those who are brave enough to enter the home say you can feel a dark presence immediately upon entering the home. Reports of hearing children's laughter and seeing tiny shadows running through the hallways are also common. But no one has been able to reach the old woman's bedroom since many have reported that the frightening paranormal activity spikes as you approach the bedroom and has scared visitors off the property. It's even said that years ago, a group of 23 students died while trying to make it to the house. It's a big group. It's a big group of
yeah, I thought it was
students.
Like 5.
That would have made sense.
Was this a field trip?
I don't know. The students were crossing the bridge when they fell through the rusty structure.
Oh my God. Like, that's a lot of people trying to get through a bridge like that.
Yeah. The legend is still popular in Mexico City, and nowadays local officials have spoken out against the legend to deter people from trying to visit it. Some reports also say that the house has been demolished and turned into a luxury residence. Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
I wonder if there's any new reports from that luxury residence.
I would want to know.
Right.
Well, what a wild ride.
I was shocked.
As was I.
Not expecting that at all. Wow.
Wow.
That's all we have to say. Wow.
Yeah. What else is there to say? Nothing.
Wow.
No, pues guau.
That's actually it. No, pues wow.
No, guau, not wow.
No, pues wow. Okay, well, is that it for Tia Toña? Okay, so we'll take a little ad break here, and then we'll come back with my story here. Okay, and we're back, and I am going to be sharing a case known today as El Monstruo de los Andes, the monster of the Andes. This has been on my list for a while, and I forgot about it.
That happens.
So we'll just get straight into it. Also, like, this is a terrible case. So, like, you know, warning, because it sucks.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah. All right. So Pedro Alonso Lopez was born on October 8th, 1948 in Santa Isabel, Colombia. And from the very beginning, his life, rough.
This is coming.
Yeah. So his dad died before he was born. And he died during this period of time known as la violencia. Yeah, and this is what historians call the 10-year civil war that happened from 1948 to 1958 in Colombia. The conservative and the liberal political parties fought in the countryside mostly. And it started with the assassination of Jorge Gaitan, the Liberal Party presidential candidate, who was looking like he was going to win. And then, of course, instead of letting him win, they killed him, causing the war. And during these 10 years, at least 200,000 people died, including Pedro Alonso Lopez's dad, who was part of the right-wing party. So he came from a very large family. It was him and 12 siblings.
Wow.
And the family was very low income, and it's alleged that his mom was a sex worker. According to reports, he had to witness his mom being assaulted and abused by her clients.
Oh.
It's very unfortunate. Like, no one should have to see that.
Yeah.
And he also didn't have a good relationship with his mom. She was physically abusive. And at some point, when he was 8 years old, his mom kicked him out of the house because he was caught abusing one of his sisters, like touching them inappropriately.
Oh, wow. How old was he? 12, you said?
8.
Oh, wow.
To me, and again, this is like speculating, so I know some people don't like that, but to me, that's like someone had to be doing it to him for him to know what to do, you know?
Yeah, or he was witnessing his mom from that too.
That too. Yeah. Like he was seeing it. He had to have seen it.
But yeah, it's some exposure to it, because otherwise it's not usually regular behavior or typical behavior.
Yeah. So she kicked him out of the house and he was left to fend for himself at 8 years old. He then made his way to Bogota and he became just a kid living on the streets. And there's like a group of kids.
Okay.
And they have a term for them. While trying to survive, he came across a man who offered him a place to sleep. But instead of doing that, the man took him to an abandoned building and assaulted him. Sexually assaulted him.
God, so many people take advantage of like vulnerable children like that. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's terrible. And like most kids on the streets do, he ended up joining a gang for protection. While he was living on the streets, part of this gang, he came across an American couple that wanted to help him. They gave him a place to stay and enrolled him in a school for orphans. But this was short-lived because yet again, another adult just like fucking everything up. A teacher began to abuse him and he ran away. So many adults like failing him. Like he could have, the what he went on to do could have been prevented. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Possibly. I mean, we know like these kind of people have childhoods like this, and
right.
I don't know. I don't think it's a major cause, but it is a factor, I guess.
Certainly a contributing factor. Yeah. So after this, he really started to participate in gang activities like stealing cars to make a living. At some point, it's unclear, but at either age 18 or 21, or in between that time, he was arrested for stealing a car and sentenced to 7 years in jail. And during his incarceration, he was unfortunately sexually assaulted again by 2 inmates.
It's just like
2 or 3 inmates.
When someone experiences so much violence, like they usually go on to enact violence too.
Yeah. Around this time, to prevent, more attacks, he used like a makeshift knife and he killed one of the attackers. 2 years got added on to his 7-year sentence for a total of 9 years.
Wait, how old was he when he was sent to jail or prison?
Between 18 and 21.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
He was released from jail in 1978 and then he left the country. He headed south and settled in Ayacucho, Peru, also in the Andes. While he was in Peru, he sought out, again, people that belong to like the most vulnerable groups, right? So he sought out indigenous girls from lower income families, or just like didn't have families, that type of thing. He would convince them to follow him to a remote or abandoned area where he would then rape and murder them. He was actually captured trying to abduct a 9-year-old girl from an Ayacuchoan tribe. The tribe surrounded him and detained him and put him to trial. They took his clothes. They decided that they would punish him by burying him in the sand. That's how he was going to be killed. This was their system. But this never happened because an American missionary convinced the tribe to let him go and hand him over to the Peruvian police instead. But the police didn't do anything.
What a shame.
Yeah, because then he went on to do more terrible things.
Wow.
So instead, the police deported him from Peru. And it hasn't been confirmed, but he claims that while he was in Peru, he killed over 100 girls, mostly indigenous.
Wow. Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully he's just lying, because a lot of these people
they exaggerate.
Yeah. So for the next few years, he traveled back and forth between Ecuador, Colombia, and Peru. And during this time, several young girls went missing, but police failed to investigate most of the cases. And they just thought that the girls were victims of human trafficking. And so they didn't look into it at all. in 1979, the number of girls in Ambato, Ecuador, it spiked. Like if there was a graph, there was a notable spike
when he was there.
And it's believed this was him. That same year, a river near Ambato overflowed and exposed the bodies of 4 missing girls who washed up ashore after the river overflowed. And those girls had been raped and then strangled. And it became a national story in February 1980 when a known businessman, bakery owner, Carlos Jacome, became worried about his 9-year-old daughter who had gone missing. She failed to show up at home.
That's so young.
Yeah. 9 years old. Ivanova.
Wow, what a unique name. Unless it's common there, right? But I've never heard it.
Me neither. Ivanova.
What a unique name to me.
No, same. So she normally would go home, you know, right after school or to his job. And when she didn't do either of those things, the family became worried. So Carlos Jacome put up flyers, reported it to the police, and she was found 22 days after she went missing on March 9th, 1980, in a wooded area. And she had also been assaulted and strangled.
Oh my God.
And that's when there started being more attention to like, oh, wait, more girls have gone missing in this town. So there were more bodies found, more girls. They were identified as some of the other girls had gone missing throughout that time. And they also began to show up in rural areas outside of the town. On March 9th, Pedro Alonso Lopez was in Plaza Rubino's market selling trinkets when he approached a food stand owned by Carlina Ramon. He acted like he was interested in the food, but she noticed him observing her 11-year-old daughter, Maria.
Oh my God.
Maria had also told her mom that Pedro, at some point during all this, had asked her to go with him.
Trying to lure her away. She
didn't listen, and she told her mom instead. She was obviously shocked and alarmed by what her daughter told her. And so and this is all like in the same, like happening in the same, like as he was leaving the food stand, basically. So when her daughter said this to her, she started yelling and crying out for help. And then the rest of like the merchants and shoppers heard her and they stopped him from leaving. They apprehended him.
Good.
So then he was taken into custody, but he refused to cooperate. And even when officers beat him up a little bit, which is wrong, but he refused to admit anything. The police captain, Pastor Cordova, became frustrated because like this wasn't going anywhere. And so he was like, I'm going to look at this differently. And then instead of beating him up, he decided to befriend Pedro Alonso Lopez.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, it works. Which I guess worked because he started opening up about his past crimes.
He's like, hey, I told these guys to stop beating you up. I'm here to help you.
Look, I'm your friend. Do you want some water?
I ordered some food, some coffee.
Yeah.
Do you smoke?
And yeah, it worked.
Wow.
You want to listen to Burrito Sabanero on the radio? But it worked because he started opening up about his crimes, and he told him like, stop looking into these human trafficking rings. There are none. It's me. It's all me. And he confessed to the following crimes. So he was passing by Ivanova's house when Ivanova poked her head out of the door. He noticed her standing outside, and once she went back inside and he made sure that she was alone, he knocked on the door and told Ivanova that he was a friend of her parents, and he handed over like 10 sucres, dollars. And he told Ivanova that her parents wanted her to go with him to the market. And if he didn't listen, her parents would be mad. So she listened and she went with him. That's when she went missing and was never seen again.
Terrible.
Pedro Alonso Lopez then took police to a bridge on the outskirts of Ambato, bordering the town of Ficoa, and the police started to dig under the bridge, and that's when they found the body of 11-year-old Hortensia Garce, who disappeared on May 5th, 1979, while selling newspapers to help prepare her pregnant mom.
Wow.
So he had approached Hortensia while she was crossing the bridge, joining the two towns. He purchased a copy of the newspaper from her and then asked her if she could be his guide because he was new to the town, and he offered her money for this. Her, obviously trying to help out her mom, agreed. Like, she needed money. So she followed him into the outskirts of town where he assaulted her several times, then strangled her. and then buried her and her newspapers under the bridge. And then he led police to, this is insane, he led police to 110 locations across the country. Wow. Where he had buried his victims' bodies. Some they did find bodies at, others were empty. There was nothing there. And they figured it was likely because of construction that had been done there, or like animals potentially moving body parts. Most of these murders were all similar, like same MO.
So there was like actual, like all these girls were missing, even if the bodies weren't found. Like he wasn't exaggerating.
Yeah. Well, he couldn't like say all names of all of them. Mm-hmm. He just like took them to locations. And at the locations that were found, there were girls that had gone missing, but not all the locations had like...
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering if he was like exaggerating or if it was true.
I feel like some of it was probably exaggerating, and obviously some of it was true because they were found. I'm hoping though, because if it really had been that many, that's a lot. That's an insane amount.
Yeah.
So most of the murders were similar and usually included the following: him befriending a young girl or trying to befriend them, offer them money, or trick them to get them into a secluded area. And then they all had the same, they were all assaulted and strangled. During media interviews, Pedro Alonso Lopez confessed that he was, and this is such a disgusting thing that he said, but he told the media he was drawn to indigenous girls of Ecuador because they were gentler, innocent, trusting, and willing to help him.
Ugh, more like, oh my, I'm just like so grossed out right now.
Yeah. He also admitted to targeting young girls who were more vulnerable, which, yeah, it's easier that way because then there's less people asking questions. He said during these interviews that he at times tried to abduct foreigners, but that was harder because the parents seemed more protective. He eventually confessed to killing 100 girls in Ecuador and then a total of 300 girls throughout Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia.
Oh my God, that's so many.
It's insane. He was eventually charged for the rape and murder of 110 girls. And 14 months after he was captured, he faced the judge, but only pleaded guilty to 57 murders. But he confessed to even more during his interrogation. He was dubbed the Monster of the Andes, and the death penalty had been previously banned in Ecuador, so he wasn't facing the death penalty, but a bunch of people were calling for his execution. But this was rejected, and he was sentenced to 16 years in prison because in Ecuador, the justice system did not allow for consecutive sentences for multiple murders. He was only sentenced for one murder, even though he pled guilty to 57.
Now that's wild.
Right. But on top of that, he didn't serve the full 16 years. He only served 13 because of good behavior.
Oh my God.
And he was handed over to the Colombian authorities since he was illegally in Ecuador. The Colombian authorities began to charge Pedro Alonso Lopez for the murder of Flor Sanchez. She had been found again, just like the other girls, assaulted and strangled in El Espinal, Colombia, in May 1979. And she went missing after he had arrived in what was his hometown. So, like, very coincidental there. Like, he gets there and then a girl goes missing within a day of him being there. 4 more girls had been killed in the same way in these towns, and all the nearby towns by where he lived. And after he was now in Colombia, and then arrested, he confessed to killing several girls in El Espinal, Colombia, and he was surprised that the police never caught on that it was him. When Colombian authorities finally put him to trial, they were looking for the maximum sentence of 60 years.
60? Like 60?
Yeah, 60.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, somehow, once again, he was not sentenced because a psychiatrist ruled him not mentally stable enough to stand trial.
Fuck that psychiatrist.
Yeah. And Pedro Alonso Lopez went on to tell the media and like psychiatrists that he committed the crimes that he committed because life stole his innocence from him when he was 8. So he was going to do the same.
That's such a
cop
excuse.
Like,
yeah.
And like again, a lot of people go through if not obviously not the same circumstances, but very similar circumstances, and they never go on to do any of these things.
Yeah.
He was sent to a mental facility for treatment. 3 years later, he was declared cured, and he was released and free to go on to live his life. His mother tells a different story. She says that although the family was poor, they grew up in a loving home, so none of the abuse stuff is true.
Whoa.
She also says that she was actually a laundry worker, not a sex worker. She also said that she never kicked him out, that he left on his own when she remarried and had more kids.
But that's weird because he was so young. So honestly, I don't know. And obviously, I feel like I don't think a mom would go out and admit this. I'm not saying this to defend him, but also like if those things are true, she wouldn't admit to those things.
Right.
So
No,
I don't know if I fully believe her. Also, like, he was like 8 when he left the home. 8-year-olds can't decide to leave their home. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. She also apologized to the family of the victims and said that if she knew she was going to give... Okay, so this is a lot. So she said, if she knew she gave birth to a monster, she would have killed him herself. But it's like, you don't know those kind of things.
Yeah. So. Plus, he's the only one responsible for these things, right? Like, no matter what. Not her.
Yeah, right. Wow. Like, no matter his upbringing.
Yeah. Like he still did those things himself.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, after all this, like the trial, everything, when he was let go from the mental institution or whatever that he was at. So once he was like free to, live his life. He stopped by his mom's house demanding money, and she was scared and just gave him some of her things to sell. And then he walked into the Andes and disappeared. In 2002, the Colombian National Police and Interpol issued warrants for his arrest over a new murder that fit his MO.
Wow.
And then they were not able to locate him at all. So in 2005, the warrant was deactivated. In 2012, his name came up again. He was named a possible suspect in a homicide in Tunja, Colombia.
Jesus.
Up to now, he remains a fugitive and he's never been seen again.
Well, like, how old would he be now?
Let's see. He was 1948. He was born in 1948.
Okay. I mean, that's so old. 76.
Yeah, so that's pretty old. Yeah. And this kind of case, like, I can't, like, I don't like doing serial killer cases in Latin America solely because it has to be about the serial killer. Like, we can't share more about the victims because there's so little known about them. And especially in a case like this where almost all his victims were like orphaned indigenous girls. Like, we can't, because I, like, as much as I can, try to share what I can about the people affected by this, and I can't, and I'm like try to avoid it. But I mean, it's a pretty significant case out of Latin America. So at the same time, I'm like, yeah, they should be shared, but I'm like, I just don't like talking about them this much.
Wow. I mean, what a terrible story.
And it's also so depressing because then it's just like it goes nowhere. He's like, all right, he was let go. He probably committed more crimes after he was let go, and then bam, he was never seen again. It's just, there's no like relieving parts of anything.
There's like no, well, what you said.
Unnecessary.
Sorry. I know it was.
But yeah, that was the El Monstruo de los Andes. Yeah.
All right. Horrible.
Spooky recommendations?
Let me see if I wrote down anything. I know I finished an audiobook. I did.
Well, I'll talk about mine while you're looking for yours.
Go ahead.
So my spooky recommendation is the show From. A while back, someone told me I would like it because of my obsession with The Walking Dead. And then I'd been meaning to check it out and I just hadn't. And then I finally did, and I finished it all like in 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
Again, because I have problems. But there's 3 seasons. The 3rd season just finished like last Sunday. But it's potential spoilers because I don't know how to describe anything without giving parts of the plot away. But this family gets stuck in this town that...
Wait, you didn't even say what it's called yet.
Oh, my bad. From. I thought I said From.
Oh.
Can I not say the words From?
You might have said it, but I don't think I caught it because it's such a... like, it's just a word. Like... that could,
right. Yeah. What a terrible name for, like, SEO purposes. Like... If you try to search, I feel like if you were to try to search, like,
from
where is the show from? Like, from what?
From what?
Cast from what? So yeah, it is a very like, but then it makes sense when you learn. So this family gets stuck in this town, and this town, like, everyone gets stuck in it. Nobody can explain why they're stuck in this town. Like, they're just driving, and then there's a road with a tree that's fallen over. Everybody sees this tree, and then they get stuck in this town. There's these creatures that come out at night and like attack them.
Ooh.
And they're safe at night as long as they're in a house that has this like talisman that's up, and if nobody like opens the doors, because then these creatures like try to trick you to letting them in so that they can attack you.
Scary.
Very Salem's Lot like, where they're like, the first episode, in the first 10 minutes, it was insane. There's this little girl in her house, then it's nighttime, and this thing is knocking, and she opens the window, and then it's this old lady that's outside. And, at some point she's like, but you don't look like my grandma.
Oh my God.
And then she opens the door, and the thing immediately just rips him to pieces.
What is this show on?
The first season is on AMC.
Nah.
I gotta give you my login.
Oh, you have that?
Yes, I got it to watch all the Walking Dead things, remember?
Yeah.
And it was so cheap, I just did the yearly thing. Yeah. Because also you get Shudder with it, so you can watch all the scary movies. Shudder has all like satanic Hispanics. Did I say that wrong?
I think you said
Hispanic
it right.
Satanics.
That doesn't make sense.
Satanic
right?
Hispanics.
Whatever. I don't know. Move on. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, they're all there. Anyway, point is, season 1 is on there, but season 2 and 3 are on. I got them on the MGM Plus subscription through Prime. Like, I just added it on, and I'm gonna cancel it because season 4 is not coming until 2026.
That's so far from now.
Yeah, but you know what? When we visit, we can get through. If you start season 1, if I give you like the login, we can watch it together, and then I'll cancel it after that. But yeah, it's so good. It's so spooky. It's so mysterious. Like, there's so many questions about the town, the creatures. It's so funny because I rarely watch shows like in real time as other people are watching them, and then I found the subreddit, and some people are coming up with like the most insane theories that just make no sense, and I'm like, just watch the show.
Some
man.
people are out of pocket with their shit. I don't even like going on subreddits for shows, because I'm like, first of all, sometimes they ask the dumbest questions, like, why did she do this? And it's like,
well, they didn't. Like, what do you want them to do? Yeah, they're getting out of hand over there. But the show, I highly recommend it. I think every episode just feels like, some people feel like it's like pointless, but it's like, okay, you gotta like a mysterious, creepy thing for you to like the show. Like, otherwise, then it's like, why are you even watching? But it's really good. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Okay. I finished the audiobook Lone Woman by Victor Laval, and it was amazing. I rated it 5 out of 5. Let me read the synopsis real quick. Blue skies, empty hands, and enough wide open space, which makes me think of that song by the Chicks. Anyway, that's not part of the description. Wide open space to hide a horrifying secret. A woman with a past, a mysterious trunk, a town on the edge of nowhere, and a bracing new vision of the American West from the award-winning author of The Changeling. Adelaide Henry carries an enormous steamer trunk with her wherever she goes. It's locked at all times, because when the trunk opens, people around Adelaide start to disappear. The year is 1915, and Adelaide is in trouble. Her secret sin killed her parents, forcing her to flee California in a hellfire rush and make her way to Montana as a homesteader. Dragging the trunk with her at every stop, she will become one of the lone women taking advantage of the government's offer of free land for those who can tame it. Except that Adelaide isn't alone, and the secret she's tried so desperately to lock away might be the only thing that will help her survive the harsh territory. Crafted by a modern master of magical suspense, Lone Woman blends shimmering prose, an unforgettable cast of adventurers who find horror and sisterhood in a brutal landscape, and a portrait of early 20th century America like you've never seen. And at its heart is the gripping story of a woman desperate to bury her past or redeem it. I do want to get the book to actually read it, because I always miss parts. mind him listening. But what I did catch, amazing. I want to try to find that review. It's such a like, I don't know. It's like when you shared about the book you read of his. I don't know. It like I love a horror story that has like deeper meanings behind it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like the societal commentary.
Yeah.
With my horror, that is what I love. Absolutely. Me too. I love when my horror gets political. I don't give a fuck.
Same.
People are like, keep book talk political free, and I'm like, give me more politics, actually. But also, it's a very silly to like say to have that belief, because like literature, media, it's like all social commentary. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point? To me, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like a small town horror, which is
not small town horror.
No,
it's
I
like
thought I heard small town.
It's like homesteading. Like they're making a new frontier in a part of America that's not really settled, quote settled, which the book does get into a little bit. Like this is not, of course, land that.
This is actually not free land.
Yeah.
It was already someone's. Yeah. Okay.
God damn it. I can't find it. Is it this?
I was going to say, I love a small town horror because that's also from is a very small town horror because they're trapped in this tiny town. It gives me the very Salem Lost vibes.
I can't find the review that I was like, amazing. Yes. But there was like themes of like shame, like holding on to shame as a family, passing on shame, generational trauma.
I was like always love me some generational trauma,
found family, racism.
You're saying all the things that I love in books.
Yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right, well, I'm excited to read it. What's it called again?
Lone Woman.
Okay, I'm gonna
and also did you know that there was women homesteaders like just out
on their own?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I'm surprised they didn't have to have a man with them.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. Okay, well, are we at the end here?
I believe we are.
Okay. Before we go, just a reminder that you can support us on Patreon if you want a little bit more. If you join the $8 tier, you get a super cool keychain. I still have to send like 2 out from the last 2 people that join. I'm so sorry. I will do it, I promise. And then also you get bonus episodes at the $3 tier, and then monthly stickers. And then the $1 tier, you get the shout out that we do at every episode. And then the ad-free episodes, which everyone gets every tier. So yeah, those are just some things that we do over there. We still have to record our vampire media. That was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
Because we did zombies already. That was fun. That's what I meant. And the vampire one will be fun.
About 4 or 5 books. 5 books from that.
Nice. Yeah, from the zombie one. Yeah. And someone already, Modesto, our Patreon member Modesto, he said that he watched Train to Busan after and loved it, and I was like, yes. So those are a lot of fun. We also read Reddit stories to each other. You can find a couple of vlogs over there as well from when we're together. And you can also gift Patreon. It's holiday season, so if you want to gift the gift of us, then you could do that too. So yeah, that's patreon.com/Espooky Tales, and it's in the show notes if you want to do that. Or merch. You can also give people some merch. I tried to buy a sweater and it hasn't gotten to Carmen, and it was like insufficient address, and I'm like, what the hell?
But it was the right address, so what the hell?
So I don't know what's going on with that. Normally it's seamless, so I don't know. Anyway, other than that, I don't know. We're recording the day before the day of the turkey, so happy Turkey Day if you celebrate.
Actually don't recognize that day, so we don't have to do that.
No. I mean, like, happy eating, and I'm gonna be working, so I don't even care. Anyway, stay spooky. We'll catch everyone next time. Bye.